There is a kind of peace the world cannot manufacture. It is deeper than silence, stronger than chaos, and unshakable even when life roars like a storm. This calm does not come from avoiding trouble. It comes from anchoring your heart in something greater than the storm itself. True peace is not the absence of battles, but the presence of unbreakable trust. Many people chase comfort, but comfort without certainty still produces fear. Real calm is built on confidence that you are held, protected, and guided even when everything around you is unpredictable. Storms reveal where our foundation truly is. If our peace is based on circumstances, it will collapse. But if it is rooted in the one who never changes, it will remain steady. Today, let us learn how to walk in the supernatural calm that storms cannot shake. There is a powerful truth that many people overlook. Peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in the presence of the one who is greater than the problem. Most of us spend our lives trying to rearrange circumstances to feel secure. We think, if only this issue was gone, if only this situation changed, if only people understood me, then we could finally be calm. But the reality is, even when one storm ends, another begins. Life is not about escaping storms, it's about learning how to stand in the middle of them with unshakable peace. Calm is not created by controlling everything around you. It is produced when you are connected to the one who controls all things. When you understand that true peace comes from presence, everything changes. The presence of God is not just a comforting idea, it is a divine reality that carries power, stability, and assurance. Think of a child holding a parent's hand during a thunderstorm. The storm may still rage, lightning may still flash, but the child is not afraid, not because the storm is smaller, but because the presence beside them is greater. In the same way, the presence of God doesn't always remove the storm, but it removes the fear of the storm. His presence tells your heart, you are safe here. You are seen. You are not forgotten. That kind of peace cannot be shaken by external pressure. Calm is not an emotion, it is a byproduct of trust. When you believe that God is with you, working for you, leading you, and protecting you, your heart settles even when your surroundings are uncertain. Worry begins when we forget who is with us. Anxiety grows when we focus on what we cannot control. But peace rises when we become aware of his nearness. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not that the storm stops, but that you remain steady while it continues. That is the calm that confuses the enemy. He expects you to panic, collapse, and question everything. But when you stay calm, you are declaring that your peace is rooted in something deeper than circumstances. The presence of God gives you clarity. When storms hit, people panic because fear clouds their judgment. But when you are anchored in God's presence, your mind becomes clear. You begin to see from a higher perspective. You remember that storms are temporary, but his word is eternal. You remember that problems have limits, but his power has none. The more aware you are of his presence, the less power storms have over you. His presence shifts your atmosphere. It brings rest to your soul, strength to your spirit, and stability to your emotions. Even when things don't make sense, his presence reassures you that everything is under divine control. This is why the greatest pursuit of your life should not be comfort, success, or control. It should be presence. When you prioritize the presence of God, peace becomes natural. You don't have to force it or fake it. It flows from within. Storms may still come, but they can't shake the one who knows they are held by the Almighty. Calm is not the result of everything going right. Calm is the result of knowing the one who never leaves your side. What you focus on has the power to shape your emotions, your mindset, and even the direction of your life. The storm is not always the reason for the fear. Sometimes the fear grows because of what we choose to look at. When you magnify the problem begins to dominate your thoughts. It becomes louder, heavier, and more intimidating. But when you shift your focus to God, his power becomes more real to you than the pressure you feel. Peace doesn't begin when the situation changes. Peace begins when your focus changes. The storm may still be there, but your perspective decides whether you sink in fear or stand in faith. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you place it on grows in your vision. If you constantly talk about how hard life is, how unfair things are, how uncertain the future feels, you will drown in discouragement. But if you begin to speak the promises of God, remember his faithfulness, and focus on his presence, you will rise above every wave. The enemy wants your attention because he knows that if he can distract your mind, he can disturb your peace. He will use noise, opinions, fear, and confusion to pull your focus away from truth. But peace comes when you decide, I will not meditate on the storm. I will meditate on the one who calms storms. Your focus fuels your faith. Faith doesn't grow by staring at the problem, it grows by staring at the promise. That's why people who walk in peace are not those with perfect lives, but those with disciplined focus. They know how to turn their eyes away from the chaos and place them on the one who remains in control. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to see beyond the surface. It means recognizing that the storm is temporary, but God's word is eternal. It means acknowledging the pain, but choosing to stand on truth anyway. When you focus on God, peace becomes your atmosphere. Your mind becomes steady, your heart becomes confident, and your spirit becomes strong. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with wisdom. Peace is not passive, it is powerful. It allows you to move with clarity while others are overwhelmed. It allows you to make decisions from a place of faith instead of panic. It allows you to keep moving forward even when the storm tries to hold you back. People lose peace when they focus on what they cannot control. They try to predict outcomes, fix everything, or carry burdens they were never meant to carry. But peace enters the moment you shift your focus from control to trust. When your eyes are on God, you remember that He already sees the outcome. He already has a plan. He already holds tomorrow. And when you are confident in who holds your future, the pressure of the present loses its power. Storms will always compete for your attention, but you have the ability to choose what you look at. Your focus is your steering wheel. Where it moves, your life follows. If you want peace, don't wait for the storm to end. Redirect your focus. Look beyond the waves. Fix your eyes on the one who never fails. When your focus is right, your peace remains unshaken. Storms have a voice. They shout fear, doubt, and hopelessness. They tell you that things will never change, that you are not strong enough, that God has forgotten you. The storm speaks loudly, but faith must speak louder. Faith is not silent. Faith declares what God has said, even when everything around you seems to disagree. The storm tries to intimidate you, but faith responds with authority. Faith does not deny the existence of the storm. It simply refuses to let the storm have the final word. When you speak in faith, you realign your atmosphere with heaven's truth instead of earth's chaos. Words carry power. What you speak can either strengthen your spirit or weaken it. Many people lose their peace not because of the storm itself, but because they repeat the language of the storm. They speak fear. They speak failure. They speak defeat. But those who walk in unshakable peace learn how to speak differently. They speak life. They speak promise. They speak victory. Even when the wind blows and the waves rise, they open their mouth and declare, "This will not destroy me. God is with me. There is purpose in this. I will overcome." Faith-filled words are not just positive thinking, they are spiritual warfare. They activate the power of God in your situation. Faith does not wait for perfect conditions to speak. Faith speaks while the rain is still falling. When you dare to declare truth in the middle of pressure, you break the influence of fear. Fear grows in silence, but fear loses strength when confronted by faith. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in the Bible began with a word. God spoke creation into existence. Jesus spoke to storms, sickness, and death, and they obeyed. He didn't wrestle with the storm, He commanded it. That same authority has been given to you. The storm may roar, but it cannot overpower a believer who knows how to speak with faith. It is easy to let emotions dictate your words, but true maturity is when your words are led by faith instead of feelings. Feelings change, but truth does not. That is why faith speaks what God has said, not what circumstances suggest. Faith says, "I may feel weak, but His strength is made perfect in me." Faith says, "This battle is difficult, but God is fighting for me." Faith says, "The situation looks impossible, but nothing is impossible with Him." When you speak like this, you are not ignoring reality, you are declaring a greater reality. Sometimes the storm outside is not as dangerous as the storm inside. Inner chaos comes when we agree with fear. But when we speak faith, peace begins to rise within us. Your words set the direction of your heart. If you constantly speak defeat, your heart will sink. But if you speak faith, your spirit will stand tall. Faith brings alignment. It brings confidence. It brings calm. It reminds you that you are not a victim of the storm. You carry authority in the storm. The storm may shout, but it does not have the right to define your destiny. Faith is your response. Faith is your weapon. Faith is your voice in the middle of the noise. When your faith speaks louder than the storm, peace becomes your reality, and the storm loses its power to shake you in a world filled with noise, urgency, and pressure. Inner stillness may seem passive, but spiritually it is one of the most powerful positions you can take. The enemy thrives in chaos because chaos creates confusion, and confusion leads to poor decisions, fear, and spiritual paralysis. But when you remain inwardly still, you silence the influence of fear and open the door for clarity, wisdom, and divine guidance. Inner stillness is not doing nothing. It is choosing not to be moved by panic. It is deciding, "I will not let this storm control my mind. I will not let this pressure affect my peace. I will stay rooted in God's presence until His voice becomes louder than the storm." A stillness is not weakness. It takes tremendous strength to remain calm when everything in your life feels unstable. Panic is easy. Reacting emotionally is easy. But staying spiritually composed requires maturity and faith. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the absence of fear-driven movement. Many people rush into decisions just to feel in control, but rushing often leads to mistakes and deeper stress. Stillness allows you to wait on God instead of forcing outcomes. It allows you to discern direction rather than reacting to pressure. When your heart is still, you can hear God clearly. His voice is often quiet, and it is only in stillness that you can receive His wisdom. The enemy hates stillness because stillness keeps you connected to God. When your soul is calm, you are spiritually dangerous. You are not easily manipulated. You are not distracted by lies. You are not overwhelmed by emotions. You become anchored, and an anchored believer cannot be thrown off course by every storm. Inner peace is a shield. It guards your heart and mind from the enemy's attacks. When anxiety tries to rise, stillness responds with confidence. When confusion comes, stillness responds with trust. When fear whispers, stillness answers with faith. Stillness is also a form of surrender. It is you saying, God, I trust you enough to stop striving. Many people think they have peace, but the moment something goes wrong, their peace disappears. True peace is not tested when everything is calm. It is proven when everything is shaking. Inner stillness is an act of warfare because it declares that you refuse to let external chaos dictate your internal condition. It says, I may be in a storm, but the storm is not in me. When you remain still, you stay in alignment with heaven. Peace becomes your atmosphere. Clarity becomes your companion. Strength becomes your posture. In stillness, God works. While others are losing sleep, stillness allows God to fight for you. While others are scrambling for solutions, stillness positions you to receive supernatural answers. Stillness is not inactivity, it is strategic trust. It is choosing to let God handle what you cannot. It is remembering that He sees what you don't see, knows what you don't know, and controls what you can't control. Inner stillness is the posture of victory. It allows you to walk through storms with grace, stand in battles without fear, and live with a peace that cannot be shaken. Storms are uncomfortable, unpredictable, and often painful, but they are also some of the most powerful tools for transformation. We desire growth, strength, and maturity, but we don't always realize that these qualities are produced through pressure. Growth does not happen in moments of ease. It happens when life challenges us to rise above our limits. Every storm you face carries a purpose. It is not sent to destroy you, but to develop you. It stretches your faith, deepens your dependence on God, and reveals your true strength. Comfort may feel good, but it rarely builds character. Storms, however, shape you into someone you could never become in calm seasons. In the middle of a storm, you learn things about yourself that you would never discover in peaceful times. You discover how much faith you really have. You discover the areas where you still need healing or surrender. You discover whether your trust in God is surface, level, or deeply rooted. Storms expose weakness, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. Once something is revealed, it can be healed. Once an area of fear is exposed, it can be conquered. Storms pull out what is hiding inside you, both the things that hold you back and the things that make you resilient. Every great person of faith in history was shaped in the storm. David faced lions and bears before facing Goliath. Joseph was thrown into a pit and a prison before entering the palace. Even Jesus faced storms, persecution, and betrayal before fulfilling His purpose. Why? Because storms prepare you for greater responsibility. God will not promote someone who cannot stand under pressure. The greater the calling, the greater the training. If you are in a storm, it is a sign that something bigger is coming. The enemy wants you to believe the storm is the end, but in reality, it is often the beginning of a new level. Storms also teach you to rely on God's strength instead of your own. When everything is comfortable, it's easy to think you are in control. But when life shakes, you quickly realize that you need Him. This dependency is not weakness, it is wisdom. Storms push you into deeper prayer, deeper worship, deeper trust. They refine your focus and remove distractions. They force you to let go of things that cannot go with you into the next season. Storms strip away the unnecessary so that only what is strong and essential remains. One of the greatest benefits of storms is that they produce spiritual authority. When you survive something that was supposed to break you, you carry a testimony. Your faith becomes unshakable because you've seen God's faithfulness firsthand. You no longer just know about His power, you have experienced it. That experience gives you confidence that no matter what comes next, you will overcome. You walk differently. You speak differently. You lead differently. You help others differently. The strength you gain in the storm becomes the strength that lifts others. Growth is not comfortable, but it is always worth it. The storm you are facing now is shaping you for the future you have been praying for. It may feel painful, but it is producing power. It may feel heavy, but it is building endurance. It may feel confusing, but it is aligning you with purpose. Storms do not define you, they refine you. And when the storm is over, you will not be the same. Because storms are the birthplace of strength, wisdom, and deep, unshakable growth. Peace does not come from having everything under control. It comes from surrendering control to the one who already holds everything. Many people lose their peace because they are trying to manage every outcome, fix every problem, and carry every burden on their own. The more they try to control, the more anxious they become. True calm is not the result of perfect planning, it is the result of total trust. When you fully surrender your worries, your timelines, and your expectations to God, you step into a supernatural rest that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Surrender is not giving up, it is handing over the weight you were never meant to carry. Surrender requires humility. It means admitting, I don't have all the answers, but I trust the one who does. It means acknowledging that God sees the full picture while you only see a small part. You might not understand what is happening, but He knows exactly what He is doing. When you fight for control, you block peace. But when you surrender, you make room for God to move. Surrender is the doorway to divine intervention. It is where worry ends and faith begins. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop fearing. You do your part and you trust God with the rest. Total surrender also protects your mind from anxiety. Much of our stress comes from imagining every possible outcome and trying to prepare for all of them. But peace comes when you trust that God is already in your tomorrow. He is not just with you now. He is ahead of you, arranging things in your favor. When you surrender, you no longer live in constant pressure. You stop obsessing over timelines. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop fearing delays. You begin to rest in the truth that nothing can stop what God has ordained. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Surrender produces unshakable calm because it shifts your foundation. Instead of building your peace on circumstances, you build it on the character of God. Circumstances change, but He is unchanging. People fail, but He is faithful. Plans fall apart, but His promises stand forever. When your peace is rooted in who He is, nothing external can steal it. You stop reacting emotionally to every challenge. You stop panicking when things don't go as expected. You learn to say, even when I don't see it, I trust Him. Even when I don't feel it, I know He's working. Surrender is not a one-time decision. It is a daily posture of the heart. Every day you choose trust over fear, faith over control, and peace over pressure. This lifestyle of surrender leads to inner stability. You become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because your soul is anchored. You have handed the pen of your story to the one who writes perfectly. Once you surrender the outcome, you can finally live in peace during the process. The most powerful calm you will ever experience does not come from avoiding storms, but from surrendering to God in the middle of them. When you let go, He steps in. When you release control, He releases peace. And when you surrender fully, you discover a calm that no storm can ever take away.